Thank you so much for coming out tonight in this rain and this bad weather. It's a very somber and important occasion for us to be here tonight, and it means a lot to see you here. We're going to start as soon as we come around. We want to honor the men and women who have served, one of whom we're going to be lighting a candle tonight. And in honor of that, we would like to welcome Veterans Post 1324 with, could you bring in the colors? Post the colors, please. Please rise.
Post colors. Order. Present arms. Order. Arms. About face. March.
I'd like to ask Lynn Dressler to come up and give us some words of inspiration.
Good evening. Tonight is the longest night of the year, the night when darkness lingers and the light takes its time in returning. Tonight is the first night of winter. The air is more or less cold, but cold enough to remind us how much warmth matters, how much shelter matters, and how much safety matters. I invite you for just a moment to imagine leaving this place tonight with only what you're wearing. Imagine searching for somewhere quiet, somewhere out of the way, to rest until morning. That is the reality of too many of our community, and it's why we are here tonight. So tonight we gather to honor neighbors and community members who died without a safe place to call their own. Some were known to us by name. Some were known only in passing. Some may have no one else speaking their name tonight, and yet every one of them mattered. Each life carried a story. Each held a struggle and resilience, a loss and longing, and moments of connection, even if those moments were brief. So, whatever your language you use for meaning, for love, for the source that guides your life, I invite you to hold these lives there, not as statistics, not as problems to be solved, but as human beings worthy of dignity and worthy of remembrance. In a moment, we will begin our vigil by lighting candles. Many of you have candles in your hand now. If you haven't turned them on, turn them on. I'll turn mine on, but if you haven't turned them on, turn them on. If you haven't picked up a candle, you can do that over at the table by the canopy. So as you light this candle, I invite you to keep the flame with you through the remainder of our memorial. Each light is small on its own, but together these flames push back the darkness. Together, they say what words cannot. You were here, you were seen, and you are remembered. May the memory of those we honor tonight soften us rather than harden us. May it deepen our compassion for those still living without shelter and strengthen our resolve to build a community where no one is forgotten. Tonight we gather. Tonight we bear witness. And tonight we begin remembering.
I'd like to ask you all to join us now in a song to get us together in this moment. I'd like to introduce Jim Wildermuth, who will lead us in a song.
Thank you. If you're singing along, we're going to do the chorus twice at the end. The song is called Blowin' in the Wind. How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? How many times must the cannonballs fly before they're forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many years can a mountain exist before it is washed to the sea? How many years can some people exist before they're allowed to be free? How many times can a man turn his head and pretend that he just doesn't see? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times must a man look up before he really sees the sky? How many ears must one person have before he can hear people cry? How many deaths will it take till he knows that too many people have died? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
Thank you all for that. I'm honored tonight to bring forward someone who has lived experience, who has been out there on the streets, who has herself been homeless, and has been through that, can demonstrate the resilience that is in the human nature, and has gone from that experience to being a leader at the Father's Heart Ministry. I'd like to introduce Lisa Walters to talk a little bit about that experience. Lisa?
Hi guys, thanks for being here. I've got no greater sorrows than anyone else. I just have a story. A story of struggle and an awesome comeback. I was born and raised in Houston, Texas. Pretty normal childhood. Had a very protective mother and father, but I also was protective of them. They were older parents that had grown children and decided to have another baby when they were 50 years old. What were they thinking, right? God love Ralph and Erlene. I struggled off and on throughout my life with different drugs. Pretty mild. I held down jobs. I was, what I thought was normal. Being raised in the South, I'm not relating necessarily being raised in the South, but back in that day, Christmas parties, Thanksgiving parties, always lots of wine around. No one ever watched the kids. I drank all their extra wine that was around. They always thought it was funny when the little girl that was the youngest girl among my adult family would chase after their cars after they left. They wondered, wow, why is she doing that? Because I drank her leftover wine. Kind of started with that. As I grew, I had the honor of marrying a very wonderful man, and we raised 2 awesome kids. I struggled with drugs during that time too. I could keep it together, but I was fooling myself. I couldn't keep it together. My children saw me in the middle of the hallway, passed out. They'd walk up on, and can you imagine what you would think? My mom is dead. They were older kids, but I put them through that. And then I had to live the consequences of that. I had to live being without them because I was an active addict. I persevered, tried to hold it together, but when you're in an active addiction, there's no absolute way that you can hold everything together. We're only human. We lost our home, broken finances, lack of ambition, and that tore my world apart. The kids were older and they were out of the house. We had 20 animals and 20 minutes to get out. Now, at that time, I was not there, and my husband had to endure all of that. And that forever will be something sad. But he overcame it, I overcame it. And that is the past. We couldn't hold it together, so I was on the streets. I took off, and I started living on the streets by myself. I started using methamphetamines very heavy, and that kept me out there. Don't let anyone tell you any differently. I'll go toe-to-toe with them. It'll keep you out there. It's a horrible spiral. It's also something very horrible to come back from, and I'm not talking withdrawals, because that's easy. The shame we put on ourselves, the morals we compromise, and the things we do to get by. I think it's referred to as a hustle. I don't think I had one except my smile. That doesn't always get you anywhere. It certainly didn't get me anywhere the morning of June 29th, 2023. I won't ever forget that morning. I remember hearing, "Is she alive?" And I said, "Are you talking about me?" I couldn't open my eyes. There was no reason for this gentleman to attack me, but he proceeded to crush my skull in with a cement block. And he left me for dead right at the bus depot across from the ClackCo Town Center. Went to the hospital, basically to be released within 13 hours. With my hair split apart. You can't do anything. They can't stitch it back up. And sent me with no shoes on my feet. The hospital sent me out with no shoes on my feet. All I wanted was a little compassion and dignity. So I found myself back here again. I always seem to stay in between Oregon City and Happy Valley. My kids were in Happy Valley, and even though they did not want anything to do with me, at least I was near them. I think it's a blessing in disguise. I finally did enough criminal mischief. I still feel bad for the people. I destroyed some property that was not mine, so I caught a felony on that. Spent 90 days in jail, and with that, they offered me an opportunity to do a 11-month program with the mental health courts, where I continued my journey there. I was put in a transitional home, put in with 5 or 6 other women. I've never had a roommate in my life, so that was a new journey. At least I wasn't totally alone, but I was alone. I made sure that I made every court date. I knew that I absolutely, there was no chance of me failing. I absolutely had to succeed, because the life I was leaving behind is not one I wanted to create anyway. I got caught up in it. Yes, I made the choice to do the drugs, and I got caught up in it, but I also am willing to face the consequences, and I am not afraid. I went on to complete the program and regain trust of my grown children, which are awesome. We're spending Christmas together, my husband, and thank you. It is a mighty, mighty wonderful thing to feel that. As bad as I've felt, I feel even better as to what I've accomplished and where I am now. I accepted a job at the Father's Heart as operations assistant back in 24, which wasn't too long ago. And I'm lucky to say that I've just accepted a position to the stabilization unit where I am assistant lead. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. It means a lot to have someone come share their story and put a human face on the homeless crisis that's affecting our community. So much of the things we hear about it are negative or numbers, and it's important to see that these are real people that we're talking about. And it means a lot that Lisa has gone on and is working at the Father's Heart to take her experience of getting off the streets to people who are still on the streets. Tonight, we're not only recognizing those folks, those 33 folks who died during the course of this year, who have been on the streets. We also want to recognize the people who are working with the Father's Heart and other organizations to help people on the streets. They have a special bond and a certain relationship when you put yourself into that work, which is what is necessary in order to be successful. To have someone die that you've been working with is a traumatic experience. And I'd like to call up right now Christina McNeese to talk to us about some of the things she's experienced. Christina.
Hello, my name's Christina McNeese. I work for Clackamas County. I'm here to talk about Randy Stratton. When he entered the Hope Supportive Housing Program, he was 46 years old. He had experienced long-term homelessness, was suffering from addiction, untreated mental health, and fetal alcohol syndrome, chronic health conditions as well. Randy did not trust people. He especially didn't trust the government or the system. He carried a lot of anger and struggled to regulate his emotions. Earning his trust took time and patience. Randy grew up in a foster home where he learned skills and a strong work ethic. He also experienced abuse in that home. Because of the trauma he experienced throughout his life, Randy could be very challenging. At times, he said things that pushed people away or even made them afraid, including me. He had a lot to overcome in his life, and he worked really hard to do so. There was more to Randy than his struggles. He was funny, he was caring, he was helpful. He liked football and Papa Murphy's pizza. He had a cat he named Happy, who he took actually really good care of. He loved working on bikes, and he could often be seen around town riding his bike. Many systems failed Randy throughout his life, but with consistent support, he was able to access critical resources like healthcare, social security, developmental disability services. All of these things he should have gotten help with much sooner. He received help navigating conflict with his landlords, and with ongoing housing and case management support, he maintained housing until he passed away this year. Without permanent supportive housing and the Housing First model, Randy's story might not have ended this way, but he was one of the fortunate ones. He was able to find stability, he reconnected with his daughter, he got to be a part of his grandchildren's lives, and in the end, he had his family around him, he had safety, he had security, something everyone deserves. This is a reminder to all of us here, that the work we do matters. Randy's life mattered. May this remembering guide what we do next. May it remind us why we gather, and may it strengthen our commitment to see, to care, and to act, so that fewer lives are lost to homelessness.
Thank you, Christina, and thank you for the work that you do. Well, now is the main part of the ceremony. I would like to introduce and call up April Fuller and Christy Cavanis, who are going to lead us in the candle lighting.
We've now come to the part of our gathering where we pause to honor the people we have lost this year. Tonight, we remember 33 individuals ranging in age from 20 to 91. Each of them was a person with a name, a history, and a life that mattered. Their deaths are more than statistics. They are losses felt in families and friendships and in our community. As we read each name, we will light a candle in their memory. We invite each person holding a rose with that individual's name to come forward and place it in the vase. A simple act of remembrance, a way of saying, you were here and you're not forgotten.
Okay. Before we begin, we want to say a few words about the meaning of light, especially on a night like this. A candle is a small light, but even a small light is enough to break the darkness. As each flame is lit, let it remind us that every life carries light. Each one was valuable, each one was worthy of care, dignity, and a place to belong. For generations, candlelight has symbolized hope, healing, and connection. In this light, we honor their names. We honor the stories we know and the stories we may never fully know. We honor their humanity. May the glow of these flames remind us that even in the darkest moments, we can bear witness. We can remember, and we can hold one another in love and care. Okay, I'm gonna need it down.
Aaron Allen Fain.
Frederick Parker.
Anonymous female.
Gary Schott.
Cody Hammond.
Heather Bodeker.
Dylan King.
James Robert Lipp.
Donald Gilbo.
Jennifer Stewart.
Doug Pagar.
Matthew Jezeritz.
Durango Caro.
Nicole Flager.
Emily Prey.
Randy Hudson. Tyler Tottenin.
Charles Gilmore.
Kenny Keenan.
David Savage.
Mark Byer.
Don Lowe.
Marvin or Mick Dack.
Dexter Carter.
Maddie Kelly.
Elmer Camberg.
Noah Thomas.
Frank Bogner.
Randy Stratton.
Jeff Daniels.
Rob Winder. Walter Whiting. Daniel Allen. Before we move on, we want to ask, are there other names we may have missed tonight? If there's someone that you would like to remember, we invite you to speak their names now so we may hold them in the circle of light together. I think that's it then. Don't trip.
Thank you all for sharing that moment with us, moment of grief and sorrow, the losses that happened this year, tonight, the longest, the darkest night of the year. In this time of sorrow, it's also the birth of hope. Tomorrow is the beginning of the return to light for the year. And with that, the coming together of all of us here tonight to share this sorrow is also a symbol and an example of the hope of what we can do and what we will do. To bring that forward a little stronger, I'd like to introduce Ray Gordon, who's going to lead us in a song on that very topic.
All right, thank you, Jim Wildermuth, for helping us. And we also have Margot Kelly joining us as well. Just want to let you know that I heard a name I didn't know he had passed. And he was a fan of music. And I didn't know he passed until you read his name. So you never know how it's going to hit you. If we have somebody that passes, then we all have somebody that passes. Because one passes, all passes. And we got to stick together. So. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we both know there's a tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. So please swallow your pride. If I have things you need to borrow, till, for no one can feel those of your needs that you won't let show. So call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Come on. Lean on, everybody. Lean on. What can we do? Lean on. Come on. Lean on. Raise it up. Lean on. I know you can lean on. We got people to lean on. Lean on. Margot Kelly.
Thank you, Margot and Ray and Jim. Thank you all. Thank you all for coming out tonight. We are getting ready to wind down here for the evening. I'm going to read some words of inspiration that will be followed by taps and the retiring of the colors from with veterans post 12/34. So I'm going to read to you from some lyrics from Leonard Cohen from his song Anthem. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. You can add up the parts, but you won't have the sum. You can strike up a march, but there is no drum. Every heart to love will come, but like a refugee. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything, and that's how the light gets in. Please stand. Color guard, please retire the colors. right, thank you all for coming out tonight. I want to thank Clackamas County for providing the tents, the space, the sound, the support. Also, this is co-sponsored by the Homeless Solutions Coalition of Clackamas County. That's who I am. I'm John Duke. Thank you all for coming out tonight. This is our event. These are our people. I appreciate you being here. Good night.